Good afternoon, everybody. Bobby Cleveland, Executive Director of Oklahoma Correction Professionals, along with State Representative J.J. Humphrey.
Hello. How you doing, Bob?
And well, I'm doing great. But what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about what's been going on for the last year. Talk about history, how it's going and how it's coming. Are we getting better? Are we worse? And so we're going to get into that. And I'm telling you right now, it's not even better. It's worse.
Well, Bob, now, if we're going to go through the whole year, you're going to have to not talk so much, okay?
I'm sorry. I won't
Yeah,
say, I won't
so
say
you,
anything.
you can't be talking all day. So
I won't. I'll be very careful.
that's what everybody says. It's always Bob talking. So
Okay.
well, let's just get right into it, Bob. We started out when we started out this year. So we're going all the way back to last January. And the new director said that he was not going to work with OCP, called you a union, called you a third-party organization,
Yep.
basically said he was not going to, that any of the employees had to go direct through him and not through you.
If they had any problem, he'll open door policy.
Open door policy. And so even though he wasn't going to work with you, he did go around behind you and try to bring in the board and work with the board. So it seemed kind of odd that he was kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, because he said he has no use for OCP, which is his employees, which was pretty bad. But then he turns right around and tries to manipulate the board, it looks like to me. So it looks like that's how we started off, that he's not gonna work with you.
Won't take my
Also,
phone calls, won't take my emails.
yeah.
We don't need OCP.
And again,
We
that's
don't need
not
a third party.
that's not a personal.
We want to be able to do what we want. Now, you mind if I say a little bit here?
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, he wants to do what he wants to do and not have to answer to anybody, fire
Right.
anybody, demote anybody, do anything he wants to do without any. He wants to take the rights of the employee completely away. He's in charge, so he needs to be like in Russia or maybe Cuba.
Well, Bob, to me, here's the problem. If he's got an issue with you, that's fine. But you represent all of these employees. And so to say that, he's actually saying that to his employees, and that's the issue I've got. Then he says he's going to have an open door policy, but every employee I talk to that has tried to make an appointment with him, get an
Never
appointment, that he doesn't do it. We get complaints on that all the time. He started a little video himself so he could do kind of what we're doing and get out there. And I'm told that he will not address that they softball everything, that they don't take
They won't
any
address
hard
the real
questions.
tough questions that people ask. They just overlook them and just keep going. As long as it's just a little softball, don't want to get anything too difficult for him.
Well, and Bob, here's the deal. I think people need to remember when he came in, he was the person at OMES who had our merit protection taken away. He set up the new Civil Service Human Rights Act, whatever that thing's called. I can't even think of the name of it. And then when he came to DOC, he took away the grievance process. So basically, right now, if employees, there's never been a time when employees needed OCP more to have that legal representation, because he's taken away any opportunity that you have to try to.
Even sexual harassment, they don't do much on sexual harassment.
Right. He's taken away all the ways that normally can be mediated, informal type of solutions. He's done away with all of that. Basically has tried to take away employees' rights, period. And it really was a bad start, according to me. I don't like that. Then we went on to the whistleblower. And again, we're just jumping into what we're talking about. So you have all of these methods that we used to have to informally try to resolve issues. Basically, we turn around, we have a person that has 16, 17 years experience, has a degree in criminal justice, actually is a doctor, which is a massive degree, has never had any problem, worked in some of the hardest prisons in the United States. She turns in, and they're saying she did it after after they fired her, she did it. We know that's not true.
Yeah.
We have the paperwork to show that's not true. And so again, she files a whistleblower. They fire her. We win in court, so we get her hooked up with an attorney.
Just back him up a minute. He is challenging everything that goes through civil service. We win. Then it has to go to state court.
Right.
What do you call that?
District court.
District court. He's going to go to that and keep after it. And here's why. He's spending money. He's wasting the taxpayers' money. He keeps going and he keeps losing, but he wants to keep going to the next level.
Right.
It doesn't matter to him. It's not his money. You can see how he runs the DOC. That it's not his money. How he wastes money. It's totally ridiculous how a guy of that stature can go in and turn things in upside down and waste thousands of dollars.
Well, my issue is that you have this employee that's never had a problem, and now all of a sudden they're a problem, and they're reporting these things, and you're not checking them out to see whether they're true or not true. And she files this properly. The AG doesn't investigate it. In fact, we got proof that the AG didn't investigate. And then when we turned it over again to them, they admitted in our hearing they never talked to the actual whistleblower, never talked to a witness. So how do you investigate something that you never talked to the actual person who did it? And now DOC comes out and says, oh, it was investigated by the AG. That's not true, because the investigator never talked to anybody. They went over to DOC and said, did y'all do this? Yeah, okay, that's good enough for us. And then the actual whistleblower allegations where that rapes are being covered up, we had people come in and testify that they had given written documentation that this officer's having sex with an inmate, that the officer admitted to multiple people to having sex with the inmate, and they can't file charges on them, and the AG can't find that out. I found it sitting at my desk,
Right.
And we presented that, and yet DOC comes back and says, oh no, we proved that they didn't even bring their own witness. They refused to bring a written witness, showed contempt for the committee. The witness they did bring said she wouldn't testify to anything. So again, that was a big issue to me, kind of
starting out the year that sent a really bad message for me. And in that, they also said in there that Cleveland and Humphrey don't know what they're talking about. They're liars, and they're just making this up. Don't pay any attention to them.
Yeah, they publicly said that, put out in papers and on the news that basically was doing that to further my political career. I don't know how that helps my political career, but yeah, that both of us were liars and didn't know. And so again, when it comes out and you hear them say we're asses or we're liars because of the things that we say, the reason we so openly speak like we do is because we've been openly attacked. And so again, we're trying to defend ourselves and saying, hey, this is why we are taking the stand that we are. And we're going down through the history of this year in his 1 year, as director, and going through why we're taking the stands that we're taking. And again, shortly after that, we had the shower incident where
that didn't happen.
Yeah, they admit it did happen, but it's not as we say it. But, Bob, I got incident reports saying that this was poor punishment, saying that they were left there, that they weren't being given food and water like they're supposed to. They were given a bag to go to the bathroom in, 2x2 showers. I've had multiple people now get a hold of me and say, you're dead on, you're right, that it did happen. They investigate it and say, well, it happened, but we were only moving people from one place to the other, and nobody was in there for more than 3 days. Well, y'all leave. Go and stand in a 2x2 cell for 3 days. That's anybody that would say that. It's that statement's pretty wow.
Well, first of all, if you say 3 days, you know that it's more than 3 days in reality.
Absolutely.
Because they have a hard time getting the truth that come out of the DOC. And I think that one of the reporters come up with 9 days they were left in there. But they say because that guy didn't want to go to his cell. He was scared. He didn't want to go to his cell. He wouldn't leave. He wanted to stay there where you're safe. Well, what does that say when he doesn't want to go to a cell? It's dangerous.
Well, what does it say? When do inmates get to decide where they're going to stay? And again, if the guy is so scared that he'd rather stand in a 2x2 cell with the trash bag to go to the bathroom in than go to his normal cell, which, Bob, I mean, hey, the other day I was told in that same prison that they had a guy tied up for 12 hours, was raped, hog-tied and raped for 12 hours.
Cell.
8-man cell. How do you do counts and do all that and not find that guy in a 12-hour period of time? That's a half a day.
But the biggest problem, though, it goes back to the same thing: understaffed. Understaffing is the whole problem we have here. They've done a terrible job of trying to hire people. And he made a comment. Well, we've been trying to hire people. Look here, we give these $2,000 raises to the correction officers. Oh, really? How many people got that raise?
Right.
I know a guy been there 20 years and didn't get it. I know a guy's been there 12 years with no discipline whatsoever and didn't get the raise.
Bob, I've got a couple of things that I'm going to read here in a minute about that, because that is a huge, huge problem. But, you know, every problem we're talking about, whether it be the rape issues, whether it be the whistleblower issues, whether it be the shower issues. And by the way, people, I mean, just so you know, I mean, I want all our listeners to know that that's a human rights violation. And I've not just been silent. A lot of times you may not see stuff I'm doing, but I will take that as far as I can take it.
It's civil rights.
It's a civil rights, it's a human rights violation, and I've talked to the right people to put that in front of. We'll see if they do anything, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that gets corrected. You know, Bob, not only did you have the cover-up on the rapes, that I believe it was a cover-up, and I think our 6-hour hearing showed that. Not only did you have the wrongful whistleblower firing, which we won in their own civil service court twice.
That we wasn't supposed to be able to win at all.
Okay, not supposed to win. We won that twice. They had to take you to district court. And again, they've asked for a change on judges at the district court, I think, in that case. Mm-hmm. So again, we just keep showing their willfulness to fire somebody who shouldn't have been fired. And we turn around and then they fired these 9, if you'll remember, they fired like 9 executives. And when I say executives, medical, their communication, several wardens.
But just they fired people to make room for somebody, one of their friends, to come over.
Right.
These people did nothing wrong. They just wanted to get rid of them so they could he could hire his own people.
Well, Bob, and this is what everybody needs to know. If you look back on why did we have merit protection over the last 60 years, why have we done the things we've done? It's to stop cronyism, nepotism, all those isms. So we're trying to stop that. We've seen that back in the day of Gene Stipe. You had to go kiss Gene's ring to get a job.
Oh, he brought it right back. It's right back going strong.
Oh, here's the deal.
With him, everything he's done.
Absolutely. Everything that's been done has brought this back. Only, golly, he's brought it back even. I mean, Gene Stipe wouldn't have done some of the things that this crew's done. I mean, it's pretty blatant. And so,
you know, I'll just go back. I don't know the reporter or whatever he's called over there at DLC, who represented the press, different things.
Communication director.
Yeah, communication. I didn't really know him, but I have never spoken to one person in the reporter, newspaper, TV that didn't say he was a good person.
Right.
I've never had anything bad about him. So I don't, but he wanted to put somebody in his place. So he gets rid of them.
Bob, I've not only not talked to anybody who had negative to say about that person, but as well as the person who worked with that person. I mean, they didn't have a clue he was going to get fired. According to that person that I talked to quite a bit, I mean, it come totally out of the blue. Did not know why I'm being fired. Never told, hey, we're unhappy with this, we're unhappy with that. Just fired out of the blue. And again, several people, not just one. The doctor over there got fired. Brought in a person that's not qualified. You got to be a medical person to be over the medical. Whoever thought that you'd have to have a medical degree to be over medical?
Took them 2 weeks to figure that out.
Yeah, that's a tough one to figure out. But at the end of the day, they end up having to hire another medical person. So you've doubled the amount of salary when you had a person that, as far as I know, and again, We don't know totally their side because they don't talk to us and they don't explain anything. They don't have to, but then at the same time, if you're not going to explain yourself, then we're going to explain ourselves to our listeners and to the people that we answer to. And so that's what we're trying to do today, is go through all of the issues that we've tried to cover this year, where our stance is and why we feel this way. And again, we've seen 9 individuals. One of those wardens, a good friend of ours, was fired, and I would have put him at some of the top. I mean, if you'd said,
Well, he was being interviewed just month earlier for one of the top positions.
right,
And he was said, well, he ended up being our second choice if this guy didn't want the job. So all of a sudden,
yeah, you go from being the top to needing fired. How does that work? I mean, that's a huge problem. The cronyism, the nepotism, it's massive. But I think, Bob, you talked about probably the biggest thing that was already there. So it was already prevalent, and I think it's even become more prevalent. Now, that is the shortage of staffing has been an issue that me and you've been on for 3 or 4 years.
well, we can be happy to say that we're number one. That's the lowest staffing it's ever been in the Department of Corrections is where we're at right now.
That's what we're hearing. We don't know that for sure, but
Well,
that's
we
what
know
we're hearing.
we know we're pretty sure, and we've talked to a number of prisons who have said the same thing. Now I think they know a lot better than you and I know what it's like.
Well, Bob, one of the things that the director came out and said was that he had that he's boosted retention, meaning that he's increased people from quitting, that his numbers
Oh, yeah.
are growing. Now, that's what he come out and said